Closing things out with Governor-elect Dan Malloy in his first extensive TV interview. Just like saying that to scoop everybody else. So, all right, so hot sectors now. You're the jobs guy. This has been put on your lap. You outline what you're going to do. Give us two hot sectors in Connecticut we can expect in the next 4 years.
Alternative energy on two fronts. Fuel cell technology development is going to be hot. We have about 20% of the world's workforce on fuel cell technology working in Connecticut. We should grow that industry here. We should make sure that the manufacturing processes that develop are developed here and put into place here, and that we continue to lead in that industry. Other green technologies, but particularly on the use of technology itself to save energy costs, is going to be a hot industry in Connecticut. So I think we need to foster both of those.
How about healthcare? You have UConn Hospital, Hartford, St. Francis.
In the prior segment, I mentioned biotech, biomed, health sciences. I want to see a much larger investment in and around the UConn Health Center. Not so much about the replacement of beds in a hospital, but building up the research infrastructure. I think if we make that a world-class operation and use it in conjunction with the Yale world-class operation around their medical programs, biotech and biomed research, then Connecticut becomes a real leader in that industry. If you draw a line between Baltimore and Boston, that corridor is biomed, biotech central in the United States. We should play a larger role, and I'm hopeful that 4 years from now I can come back and say, listen, we made the kinds of investments necessary, so much so that we've picked up 30,000 jobs in this industry.
And UConn Medical, quiet as kept, is an emerging voice internationally in biomed.
Well, in biomed, they're particularly a leading voice now in stem cell research, and that's something that my administration will absolutely support. I'd like to broaden it. We have a unique opportunity based on some recent federal court decisions to play an even larger role as a state funder as opposed to a federal funder, which may allow for the development of more or the movement of more talent into Connecticut to do that kind of research. I want to play a role.
President Obama came in to stump for you. Quiet as kept, behind the scenes. Did you say, hey guys, can he go somewhere else? What's that like having the president come in? And were you concerned that he's too toxic right now?
No.
Why not?
No, because he's a great president. I understand that people's popularity goes up and down. I'll just tell you that 40 years from now, we'll be reading history books that will compare what was accomplished in the first 2 years of the Obama administration and this Congress with what FDR did. We saved the economy, righted the ship. People they want instantaneous results in an environment where more damage was done to our economy than at any time since the Great Depression. He led masterfully. It'll be appreciated in the future. No, I don't begrudge
so you weren't concerned
or
about
deny
that.
the president.
Bill Clinton came in for you too, right?
Bill Clinton's been a friend, and
how do you compare those two guys, Clinton and Obama? You've had a chance to talk to them, chat with them. How do you compare their two styles of charisma?
They're both very bright guys.
Charismatic guys, right?
They're both charismatic, different ways. I think President Clinton is the best former president we've ever had. I think, well, just look at the work the foundation is doing. I mean, really changing tens of millions of people's lives around the country, around the world. Clean water, research, access to capital on a micro and mini basis. It's just really hard, tremendous work, which is a capstone to, I think, what was a great presidency. I understand there were problems of personal behavior and that sort of thing. This was a great president, did a great job, created 22,700,000 jobs during the time that he was president. We should be so lucky.
2 minutes. What advice did President Clinton give you quietly, and what advice did President Obama give you quietly?
I've had discussions with both of the gentlemen while they were here. They said, just keep going. I think
they said more than that. Now, come on.
Well, the conversations that I have with the President of the United States and the conversations I have with the former President of the United States are just that. They're private. But I was going to say this, that President Clinton made it very clear that what we needed to do was stand up for our values, and Democrats have done some tremendous things that are underappreciated at the moment, but will it be appreciated in the future? And I'm very happy that the Democratic Party maintained control of the Senate. I think what we would have seen in the Congress of the United States, just on the student loan basis, the Republican agenda was to put the student loan pool back in the hands of the private sector, jumping interest rates and making more people ineligible for those kinds of loans. I stand with the Congress of the United States that made college more affordable for the first time in 30 years for everyday working people in the United States.
How about this? In about 30 seconds, President Obama calls you, the new governor-elect, and says, listen, give me some advice. I got shellacked here nationally. What would you tell me as a president?
I'll tell you what I told the president when he called me.
All right. Even better.
Yeah, right. Mr. President, we both have agendas to carry out, and we have to do what's right for our state and for our nation and keep up the good work.
You don't tell me advice. How do you get that support back? You lost a lot of support here in about 30 seconds.
I don't think that this is a man who lives for the moment. He lives for the history and for legacy, and for what good will have been accomplished. And I just go back to what I said to you already, Stan. I think that history will judge the stabilization of the American economy as the most important work accomplished by this administration.
15 seconds. A hard 15. How do you judge the legacy of Jody Rell? You were not always a big fan of her leadership. How will history treat her?
They will treat her as a fine human being who established a new sense of ethics in the aftermath of a terrible episode in Connecticut's history. With respect to how she did other things, we're very different people. I will be a far more activist. You'll see me. I'll do these kinds of interviews. We're going to invest in infrastructure. We're going to get Connecticut moving again. We're going to have a governor who's working day in and day out to create jobs. That's what we're going to be.
I just borrowed 15 more seconds. This is a hard 15. 15 firm achievement gap.
This is how this works?
It's how it works. We can't leave without an achievement gap question. The widest achievement gap in America, white kids, black and Latino youth. Connecticut did not compete for those race to the top dollars. Many said it was a lack of poor leadership from the governor. What would you do in 5 seconds to change that?
Only 12 states did get that money, so let's just put it.
But Connecticut has the widest in the country. Compelling story.
Sure, we do.
5 seconds.
Listen, universal pre-K is the start.
Okay, that's good. 5 seconds. All right, good. I like that. Thanks to Governor-elect Dan Malloy. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. You can send your show comments or requests, or even watch us again at ctnow.com and friend us on Facebook. Become a fan of the Stan Simpson Show. We're on Twitter too. Look out for the tweets. Lori Perez and The Real Story are next for the good folks here at Fox Connecticut. I'm Stan Simpson. We'll see you next week.